Hi friends, welcome to English Study Point. Today in this video lecture, I am starting with different approaches to the study of culture. First of all, I am starting with anthropological approach. What it says, all cultures develop or evolve in a similar way from simple to complex, from primitive to civilized. This means that all cultures follow a similar pattern or development, starting from a simple or primitive state and progressing towards complexity and civilization. And these anthropologists have studied how cultures change and develop over time. That means here they try to highlight us commonalities and differences in the evolutionary process of different cultures, which is almost same. Anthropologists discovered the great variety of human culture through fieldwork explorations in different corners of the world. So, here we get to see a role of anthropologists in studying and understanding wide range of human cultures by conducting fieldwork in diverse locations around the world. These anthropologists have been able to document and analyze the richness and complexity of cultural practices, beliefs, and traditions across different societies. Anthropologists understands the way in which the various aspects of culture contributed to maintaining the social system. This approach was known as structural functionalism. What it means that here in this particular approach, importance of studying how different aspects of culture contribute to the functionality and stability of a society is emphasized, and through this lens of structural functionalism, anthropologists analyze how cultural practices, beliefs, and social structures work together to maintain social order and coherence within a particular group or community. The culture personality approach focused upon the interrelationship between the development of the personality of the individual and culture of the group. So this is means culture personality approach examines the link between individual personality development and cultural influences within a group or society. These anthropologists using this approach explores how culture shapes the beliefs, values, behaviors, and identities of individuals, and how these individual characteristics in turn contribute to the broader cultural patterns and dynamics of a society. Writers like Zora Neale Hurston, in her work Their Eyes Were Watching God, and Chinua Achebe's work Things Fall Apart, incorporate anthropological insights into their works, offering rich portrayals of cultural practices and beliefs. What it means that by these authors, by drawing on insights from anthropology, these writers provide readers with in-depth depictions of cultural traditions, beliefs, and practices within their narratives, and through their works they try to showcase the complexities of different cultures and explore the impacts of societal norms and values on individual experiences. Another works by Margaret Atwood's work, Oryx and Craig, and Ya Gyasi's work Homegoing, explore evolution of cultures over time, depicting how societies adapt to changing environments and social dynamics. So these novels examine how societies transform in response to shifting environments, social forces, and historical events by tracing the trajectories of different cultures over time. These authors offer insights into how societies navigate change and adapt to new circumstances. Stories such as Jhumpa Lahiri's work The Namesake and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's work Half of a Yellow Sun explore the interconnectedness of cultural elements and the impact of societal structures on individuals. This means that such authors illuminate the connections between cultural components and the influence of societal frameworks on individuals. These particular works delve into the interwoven nature of cultural elements by showcasing traditions, language, and identity, and in this way, they shed light on how societal structures shape the lives and experiences of characters within the narratives. And through their exploration of these themes, the authors offer us nuanced reflections on the complexities of cultural interactions and the ways in which individuals navigate within broader social contexts. Literary works like Gabriel Garcia Marquez's work 100 Years of Solitude and Toni Morrison's work Beloved, these particular authors use rich symbolism to evoke cultural meanings and traditions, inviting readers to interpret complex cultural symbols. Here, in this line, we get to see that such authors evoke cultural meanings and invite readers to interpret complex symbols that reflect deep cultural traditions. And by using these symbols or symbolism, these authors engage readers in exploring cultural nuances and themes, enriching the reading experiences with layers of interpretation and cultural resonance. Next, we proceed to discuss about interpretive approach, and proponent of this particular approach is anthropologist Clifford Geertz. Anthropologist under this approach interprets those aspects of the culture under study that are of interest to him or her. She or he conveys these interpretations to members of his or her own culture, acting as a selective intercultural translator. This means under this approach, anthropologists analyze and interpret specific aspects of the culture they are studying that capture their interest or focus, and these aspects may vary depending on the anthropologist's research, goals, expertise, and areas of interest within the culture being examined. And also another line means that the anthropologist communicates their interpretations of the studied culture to individuals from their own cultural background. So acting as a selective intercultural translator, the anthropologist filters and conveys the cultural interpretations in a way that is meaningful and understandable to members of their own culture, bringing the gap between different cultural perspectives. For interpretive anthropologists, the goal is to understand what it means to be a person living in a particular culture. So, this line emphasizes that the primary objective for interpretive anthropologists is to comprehend the life experiences and perspectives of individuals within a specific cultural context by striving to understand the essence of cultural identity and the intricate societal norms that shapes individuals' life. And these interpretive anthropologists aim to develop a deeper insight into what it truly means to exist as a person within that particular culture. Postmodern works like Italo Calvino's If on a Winter's Night a Traveler and George Louis Borges' short stories invite readers to actively engage in interpreting the text, emphasizing subjective nature of meaning making. So, these authors that I have mentioned here encourage readers to participate actively in interpreting the text. These works challenge traditional linear narratives and highlight the subjective nature of creating meaning, urging readers to engage with the text on a deeper level and interpret it through their own perspectives and experiences. Authors such as Umberto Eco, The Name of the Rose, and David Mitchell, Cloud Atlas play with narrative structures and metafictional elements, prompting readers to reconsider how they interpret cultural texts. Now, these authors experiment with different sorts of narrative structures and incorporate metafictional elements in their works. And by playing with storytelling conventions and blurring the boundaries between fiction and reality, these authors engage readers in a unique reading experiences that prompts them to question traditional approaches to interpreting cultural text. Writers like Chinua Achebe's works Arrow of God and Salman Rushdie's Midnight's Children critically examine colonial legacies and power dynamics, reshaping dominant cultural narratives from post-colonial perspectives. Here we see how authors such as Achebe and Rushdie delve into the examination of colonial legacies and power structures through their works, and they offer nuanced perspectives from a post-colonial lens, and in this way they challenge and reconfigure prevailing cultural narratives to shed light on the impacts of colonization on societies and individuals. Texts like Marjane Satrapi's Persepolis and Haruki Murakami's novel reference diverse cultural texts and genres. This means that such authors draw from a wide range of cultural references and genres, and by incorporating diverse elements into their texts, these authors weave intricate layers of meaning that reflect a mix of cultural influences and perspectives, contributing to a more multifaceted and engaging reading experience. They created layered meanings and connections that enrich readers' interpretations. This particular line tells us that the use of varied cultural texts and genres by authors like Satrapi and Murakami results in the creation of texts with richly layered meanings in it, and also there are associations, so many associations as well as connections are involved in it. So this approach enhances readers' interpretations by offering them a deeper and more nuanced understanding of the themes, symbolism, and cultural context embedded within the narrative structures of these works. Here we get to understand feminist approach. This particular approach emphasizes critical examination of how gender dynamics shape and influence cultural beliefs. So, this particular approach focuses on critically analyzing how gender plays a crucial role in shaping cultural norms, practices, and how people are represented within society. Feminist scholars analyze how cultural norms and values contribute to the reinforcement of gender inequality and discrimination. This means that feminists, these such sort of feminists, they try to study how societal norms and values can reinforce gender disparities and discriminatory practices, shedding light on these issues to bring about awareness and change. So these things are showcased in if we follow feminist approach. It aims to deconstruct dominant narratives and challenge societal structures that perpetuate patriarchal ideologies. It means that these feminists seek to break down prevailing stories or narratives and challenge the societal systems that support male dominated beliefs and practices in order to promote equality and inclusivity for all genders. By centering women's voices and experiences, feminist researchers seek to uncover hidden power dynamics and inequalities within cultural texts and practices. This means that these feminists emphasize in their texts about giving importance to women voices and experiences within research and analysis as a means to reveal and address the hidden power dynamics and inequalities present within the cultural expressions and societal norms. Feminist approach explores themes such as representation, identity, power, and resistance. This means that when we follow feminist approach, In feminist analysis, themes like how individuals are portrayed, issues of self definition, dynamics of authority, and acts of opposition are showcased. It scrutinizes how popular culture, media, literature, art, and fashion shape and reflect gender norms and stereotypes. This means feminist analysis closely examines how aspects of everyday culture, including media, literature, art, and fashion, both influence and mirror societal perceptions and expectations related to gender. Feminist scholars examine how cultural products reinforce or challenge traditional gender roles and hierarchies. This means that feminists in academia study how cultural items can either reinforce long standing gender stereotypes and societal structures or work to resist and amend them. Now, another line, it recognizes that gender intersects with other aspects of identity such as race, class, sexuality, disability. This particular sentence emphasizes that feminist analysis acknowledges that gender is intertwined with other elements of selfhood like racial background, socio-economic status, sexual orientation, and physical abilities. By considering these intersecting identities, feminist cultural studies strive to understand how multiple forms of oppression interact to shape individuals' experiences within cultural contexts. This particular line demonstrates that feminist cultural studies aim to comprehend the ways in which various systems of marginalized based on several factors beyond gender alone interact to influence how diverse groups of people experience and navigate culture and society. Here I have mentioned literary examples that fits with the or that suits with the definition of feminist approach, and when such type of question may come in your exam, it is not necessary for you to mention all these examples which I have mentioned here in this slide. To use these examples in your exam, you are able to or you are supposed to write one or two literary example, not all, because when you write such examples, when you keep on writing such examples, it takes up your time and you are not able to complete your exam on time. So please mention one or two literary examples of this approach that you may like more. So authors like Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway and Bell Hooks' Ain't I a Woman critique traditional gender norms and explore complexities of gender identities in their works. This line mentions how renowned authors Virginia Woolf and Bell Hooks critically assesses established gender expectations and delve into the intricacies or complexities of gender expression and identification within their literary creations. Characters in works like Alice Walker's The Color Purple and Arundhati Roy's work The God of Small Things navigate system of oppression and assert their agency, highlighting themes of empowerment and resistance. So it's here highlighted how the characters in literary works by Alice Walker and Arundhati Roy's work confront oppressive structures and reclaim their autonomy, showcasing themes of empowerment and resilience against adversity. Authors like Madeline Miller and Jean Rice's works White Sargasso Sea offer feminist interpretations of traditional myths and texts centering marginalized voices and perspectives. So these authors present feminist revisions of classic stories and writings, focusing on voices and viewpoints that have historically been marginalized or overlooked. Novels such as Sarah Waters' Tipping the Velvet and Ocean Vuong On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. These works challenge normative constructions of gender and sexuality, exploring diverse queer experiences and relationships. These novels by Sarah Waters and Ocean Vuong actively question and resist the conventional societal frameworks that dictate how gender and sexuality should be perceived and expressed. Another, we are learning about post-colonial approach. The post-colonial approach to the study of culture is a critical lens that examines the impacts of colonization on societies and cultures. This means that post-colonial approach analyzes how colonization has affected different societies and cultures, particularly focusing on the negative consequences and changes brought about by colonialism, as well as the ways in which formerly colonized peoples respond and adapt to these influences. This means that post colonial perspective also considers the communities that were once colonized. They try to react and adjust to the lasting impacts of colonization on their cultures and societies. Post colonial scholars challenge and deconstruct the dominant colonial narratives that perpetuate stereotypes and misconceptions about colonized peoples. So, scholars engaged in post colonial studies actively question and break down the prevailing stories created during colonial times that often reinforce harmful stereotypes and misunderstandings about the colonized populations. For example, in Chinua Achebe's novel Things Fall Apart, the author presents a counter narrative to Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, which portrays African culture in a derogatory manner. This particular sentence showcase how these means Chinua Achebe's work contrasts with Joseph Conrad's. There we see more negative portrayal of African societies, and they try to offer a different perspective that challenges the degrading depiction of African cultures found in Heart of Darkness. Achebe's work undermines the colonial depiction of Africa as a primitive and savage land, offering a more nuanced and authentic portrayal of Igbo society. So here we see Achebe's novel works to dismantle the colonial view of Africa as backward and uncivilized by presenting a more detailed and authentic portrayal of the Igbo culture with all its complexities and richness. Post-colonial theory emphasizes this concept of hybridity. This means it focuses on the idea of hybridity, which is about mixing different cultures together, which refers to blending of cultures that occurs as a result of colonial encounters. So hybridity is when cultures combine due to interactions during colonization. This blending can give rise to new forms of cultural expression and identity. So mixing cultures can create fresh ways of expressing culture and forming one's identity. Salman Rushdie's novel Midnight's Children explores the complex layers of identity that emerge from the fusion of Indian and British cultures in post-colonial India. So in Rushdie's book, he delves into the intricate or complex aspects of identity shaped up by the merging of Indian and British cultures in post-colonial India. The protagonist's dual heritage reflects the hybrid nature of post-colonial identities and challenges the notion of fixed cultural boundaries. So this particular line first of all means that the main character's mixed background mirrors the blended character of identities in post-colonial settings, and also the story challenges the idea that cultural categories are rigid and unchanging by showing how cultures can blend and evolve over time. Post-colonial scholars highlight the importance of reclaiming and amplifying marginalized voices. So, scholars in post-colonial stories emphasize the need to bring forward and make stronger the voice of those who have been pushed aside and ignored, that have been silenced or misrepresented by colonial powers. So, these voices have been quieted or distorted by the colonial rulers in history. In Jamaica Kincaid's novel Lucy, the protagonist challenges the Eurocentric ideals imposed upon her as a Caribbean woman. In this particular work, the main character resists the European centered beliefs forced on her as a Caribbean woman and seeks to assert her own agency and autonomy. So she aims to take control and independence for herself. Kincaid's work gives voice to the experiences and perspectives of those who have been historically marginalized. So the author's writing brings out the stories and viewpoints of people who have long been pushed to the fringes of society, offering a counter narrative to colonial depiction of the Caribbean. This narrative challenges the stories created by colonizers about the Caribbean region. Post-colonial theorists advocate for the decolonization of language and literature, encouraging the use of indigenous languages and modes of expression to challenge the dominance of colonial discourses. So these theorists support removing colonial influence from language and literature, and they in turn promote using native languages and ways of communicating to counter the dominance of colonial ideas. And this is done to question and confront the powerful narratives created by colonizers. Like in Ngugi wa Thiong'o's novel, Decolonizing the Mind explores the impact of colonial education on the author's linguistic and cultural identity. So, in this book, he examines how colonial schooling affected his language and culture. Through his book, Ngugi argues for the revitalization of indigenous languages as a means of resisting colonial power structures and reclaiming cultural autonomy. So we see that he argues in this work for bringing indigenous languages back to life, and for which he uses native languages, or he suggests using native languages as a way to push back against the control of colonizers. And it's about taking back the independence of one's culture and identity. Post-colonial theory examines the ongoing legacies of colonization in the context of globalization. So this theory looks at how historical colonization still impacts the world today, especially in a globalized environment, highlighting the ways in which power dynamics continue to shape global relationship and cultural exchange. So it shows how power imbalances affect how countries interact with each other and share their cultures. In Arundhati Roy's novel The God of Small Things, the author critiques the destructive influence of global capitalism on local communities in post colonial India. So, in Roy's book, she discusses how global capitalism negatively affects local communities in post colonial India. This impact is specifically on communities in India after the colonization period. Roy's work underscores the importance of recognizing and challenging the persistent inequalities and injustices that result from colonial histories in the era of globalization. We infer from this point that her writing emphasizes the need to see and confront the long standing unfairness and the wrongs that stem from past colonizing experiences in today's globalized world. Then with this video lecture ends here. Hope this video lecture will help you in your exams. Thank you.